right, so how do you choose the right AI solution for your business? Now, if you're watching this, you're probably looking at some different AI solutions, how to implement them into your business, what that's going to take, what kind of things you're going to have to get in order to do that, and really what's going to be the best solution for your instance and your business and whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So I've implemented dozens of CRM. I've helped businesses automate some of their processes as sort of an operations sales manager. So when we talk about AI solutions for your business, we're talking about someone who has worked in the operational setting at various companies and has been able to leverage that skill set to be able to provide these solutions just on a one-on-one basis to businesses. So we're going to talk about first the common AI solutions and what type of solutions you might be looking at just for your instance, and what are some common ones that we see just out of the gate. So the first one is going to be data extraction solutions. So data extraction solutions is really about getting data from one place or from one document or from one system and extracting that data and getting it into, maybe it's the right format. Maybe we need to get it out of whatever setting it's in, and we need to maybe manipulate it a little bit, get it into another system. Or maybe we have a bunch of emails that are coming in, and we want all that data in those emails to be put into our billing software, right? So we can have all the invoices and do all of that data extraction instead of having to type everything manually by hand. Basically, any situation where you're basically forced to copy and paste data over, we can use some sort of data extraction solution to provide some value there and automate that process. And we've got business intelligence tools. So business intelligence tools are going to help businesses be able to get the data that they need, whether it's for their actual products themselves and how to build better products, or whether it's from my experience, more for the business development side of things. So you're going to need I don't know why my slideshow quit. You're going to need, interesting. So what I'm familiar with when it comes to business intelligence tools is actually going to be the business development, kind of the cold outreach, the sales prospecting, right? Figuring out that persona, figuring out who in the company to contact, that type of thing. So that's typically what I see businesses using AI for. And when it comes to business intelligence, you can also use that for gathering data and using that information to help build better products, inform your market trend decisions, and really just give you a better landscape of the entire system for your business intelligence operation. Now, I think one of the more common solutions for small businesses is customer service AI or even customer support AI. So the customer service aspect of it is going to be more for getting leads educated and asking them the right questions to qualify them, or getting them the right information and getting them in the right places so that they have that information. They don't have to talk to a human. That information usually exists, in some sort of externally facing documentation. Maybe it's on your website itself. Maybe you have your policies and things like that. In another spot, maybe a customer has a more technical question and you don't want to give out too much information, but you do want to give them kind of some insights into how you work and what your process is. You can have some internal documents that your customer service bot has access to and is able to give answers from, and that can allow you to really give your customer service and support team really offload some of the work for them, so they're not going back and forth and being interrupted with just regular small questions that really somebody can find the answers to themselves if they just search hard enough. But of course, we're in the age of the internet and everyone wants things instantly and very quickly. And the last one here is going to be workflow automation. So workflow automation is a bigger, broader term that's going to be used for anything that you can automate in terms of processes that are steps taken digitally, right? So when we talk about workflow automation, we're talking about any sort of interactions actions that are really taken by a computer, and then how can we pile those together and get those steps to be taken automatically, rather than going out and actually sending that email manually, or going over there and sending them that invoice, or going in, and once that form gets filled out from them, then we go in and we send them another email, right? We can automate all that stuff. So we have a payment page. Once that payment's collected, we send them the intake form via email. They fill out that intake form. Then from there, they go and get another email with their next steps. Maybe that unlocks some other content to a video, or maybe we want to send them a text message after they complete that and take them to another system to send some more documents. Whatever that situation looks like, you were able to automate those steps with workflow automation. So once something happens in one system, then we can automate that as a trigger to make another action happen based off of that. Now, when it comes to your selection criteria is really about your business requirements and what's going to make your AI implementation as successful as it can be. So, what are your business requirements, right? Your business requirements are really going to be the amount of volume for the amount of data and documents that you have that you want a customer support bot to have access to, or maybe the amount of data that you're going to want to collect for your business development ventures, whatever business intelligence ventures, whatever that may be, right? And then you've got the automation complexity. So how complex is this going to be? Is it multiple steps? Are we just scraping data from one document or one data set and then putting it into another? Does it need to be cleaned up in that process? Do we need to reformat it? All of those steps are going to come into place when it comes to considering the automation complexity. And of course, like what is going to be part of those requirements, so we know kind of what we're getting into, and that'll kind of give us some of the more technical factors and the budget considerations as well. But then are we integrating with existing tools? So do we have existing tools that we want to use and that we want to bring into the fold, or are we setting up an entirely new infrastructure with a new set of tools? If you have existing things, it's going to be easier for you to be able to give that person who's ever taking the lead on this, whether it's someone like myself or you have someone internally doing this, it's going to make their lives a lot easier when it comes down to actually figuring out what this whole entire thing is going to look like and what type of effort and considerations are going to go up front. Now, when we talk about budget considerations, there's going to be a couple of different things to consider. Obviously, you have the monthly platform subscription cost, the yearly cost, whatever it is, right? Or maybe there's a one-off fee for that tool. You're going to have to budget for all of the tools that you're using, that you're connecting together, and that you're using to, whether that's for your business intelligence or your customer service bot, whatever that may be. Now, you're also going to have a cost associated per every license that you might have with that subscription. So if you have multiple people working on and in these tools, you're going to have more than one seat. Each seat is going to have its own cost as well. That's not the case for every model, every platform model, but that is still something that you're going to encounter and something that has to be considered as well. So when you're building your outline for your business requirements, all the different tools you want to use, you can go in there and check their pricing and see what types of fees that you're going to incur with that as well. Now, you're also going to have usage-based pricing for all of your API calls and all the different AIs that you're going to be using, whether it's ChatGPT, some sort of voice AI, etc. You're going to have a usage-based pricing for that. So depending on how frequently this AI tool is going to be used and how frequently you're going to be using AI in your workflow, then you're going to have to set aside a budget for that as well. How many calls are we doing? How many people do we expect using this? What are the considerations for the frequency at which AI is going to be used inside of this process, and then we can budget our API calls accordingly for that as well. And then lastly, here we've got our technical factors. So the technical factors are going to be really just how easy is this to use and get our non-technical staff to incorporate into their work. Is this going to be something that's super problematic and has too many steps for them, or is just a little bit harder for them to use? We really want to make this as simple as possible, right? If they don't have to touch it and they can just get an email and click a button and it takes them to wherever they need to be, that is ideally everything that we want, right? So really making it easy as possible for non-technical staff, that's going to make it easy for your adoption, and is, again, really important for your selection of criteria. And then you've got your customization options when it comes to your technical factors as well. What extent can you customize things? Are we going to have some things that are going to be more rigid because of the CRM system that we use? Are we going to have things that are a little bit more flexible because we don't care which AI model that we use? Whatever it may be, you're going to want to include your customization options there and what you're able to customize and what's more rigid and set in stone. And that takes us into the last technical factor that I like to bring up when getting started is actually your scalability. So when you set up this infrastructure initially, you're going to have some things that you want to consider, and you're going to have some things that you want to get done, but those things are going to look different in the future. So when we build this structure out, is it going to be easier to land and then expand, or are we actually going to have and face some difficulties when we are doing the same sort of process, but 10 times the volume. Are things going to break? Is it going to get a little more complicated and hairy? Is it going to be, is it going to be not so easy to use for a non-technical staff? What does that look like? If we were to, just quadruple the business overnight, what kind of things are going to break? We got to really figure out what that scalability looks like. So building with that in mind is going to be super important. Now, the third one here is our platform evaluation. So you really want to figure out your must-have features. So for must-have features, we typically consider having a no-code interface. Again, something that's easy, not super technical to use. We're going to think about some standard integrations. So does it integrate with our CRM system? Does it integrate with our billing system? What are the tools that we use every day that are not going away from our business that we have to have? If you're a service-based business, you typically have some sort of ticketing or some sort of job board type of interface. Jobber, Service Titan, Service Fusion, whatever it may be. That's the core of your business. You're sending out all of your work orders through there. You've got all your billing. You've got all your jobs in that system. That's going to be super crucial for you to have integrations that connect with that, right? And those would be what you would consider your standard integrations. You also want to have reliable support. So when you look at these products and you look at the support that they give you, you want to have something that has really good documentation. You'd ideally like to have something that has a phone number that you can call. If you have to have email support, things like that, right? What's the level of support that you can get with this type of product? That's really going to be something that's super important, especially as you're growing and scaling. Do you have those people in your corner helping you and be able to support you as you grow and use their product more? And then security compliance, right? So we want to make sure that the products that we're using and the platforms that we choose are super secure. They have all that infrastructure in place. They have, disclosures about that. You can read about the level of security that they have. If you don't see something like that, that's kind of a red flag, right? That would be one of the red flags that you would watch out for. You'd want to make sure that you have clear security guidelines and what their security parameters are, right? Now, when we go to nice to have features, we can talk about some of the custom templates that are easy to use. So if you have something that is going to be a more of a repeatable type of process, you can templatize it and make it something that you can repeat and dish out over and over again. That is a really nice to have feature when it comes to building things over and over. It's not necessary, but it is super nice to have. It makes your life a lot easier down the road. And then you've also got advanced workflows. So advanced workflows may give you the options to be able to provide a more aggressive approach because you're able to bring in more data and do more high level tasks. So that's a really nice to have feature because it can actually make sure that the platform is able to scale with you. It may not be something that's necessary right away in terms of advanced workflows. That might be something that you're looking at in the future that you want to do in a more, more growth after more growth happens. But in terms of getting that done, you want to make sure that you have the ability to do that. That really adds bonus points to that platform. And then we've got usage analytics. So how well are we able to track and see our usage of this platform? Do we have the ability to kind of see how many times automations have been run, how many times an API has been called? What do those things look like, right? Those are really nice to have to be able to monitor your usage and keep track of that. If you can get a report on that on a daily basis, like, hey, you used 25 of your 10,000 credits today, awesome, even better. But again, those are just nice to haves, not necessary, for you to be successful on the platform. But yeah, again, outside of the red flag of having poor security documentation, you're also going to look out for long-term contracts. You don't want to be in a platform that's going to just lock you in. If you want to commit to the year and pay for that, by all means, get that 40% is typically what you get in terms of the discount for going yearly. By all means, take advantage of that. But don't sign up for any long-term contracts that you're not able to cancel. Any sort of predatory contract that's going to lock you in for a long period of time without any real benefit to you. That's just the lowest package is a 18-month commitment. Yeah, that would be a red flag that you want to watch out for. Also be wary of complex pricing structures. Some of these tools can get really convoluted with what you're actually going to get for the price that you pay and then what the extra add-ons are. So if it gets too complicated and too complex with your pricing structure, walk away. You can find a better tool. You can find something that's going to work for you. and then limited integration options. So if the options for integrations are rather low, it's probably not going to be something that you want to invest in the long term, at least not yet. But now now we've got our implementation. In terms of the complexity here, we can typically look at larger projects on a 48-week timeline. That would be something that's pretty standard. I will say that when we break this down into quick wins, medium projects, and large projects, you typically have things like email automation, basic document kind of processing, data extraction. Really simple workflows are going to be things that you can implement within a week or two. And then anything a little bit larger than that, it's a multi-step automation. You need some sort of custom integration. Maybe you've got an external API that you want to use that's really industry specific, things like that. Team training needs, getting your team up to speed with the new processes and things of that nature are all going to fall kind of in that 2 to 4 week, that medium project budget. And then for your large projects, 4 to 8 weeks, you're typically looking at like a rollout that's going to go across departments, right? It'll be something that affects the entire organization or at least a specific subset of the organization. You're also going to be looking at really complex workflows. So there'll be workflows that typically have even human interaction in the middle of it. So steps 1 through 4 are, again, just based on the customer completing an action. And then that fifth action, you actually have to pick up the phone and call them, or someone has to do something and process something internally. And then we go on to another 2, 3 steps before a person has to interject again and actually get some work done for that to help that customer keep going in their journey. And then you've got your custom solution development as well, which would fall under your 4 to 8 week timeline. That really just depends on exactly what you're trying to accomplish and really getting customized with that. You're just going to need to go over the details, make sure that everyone has a good understanding of the project. That type of stuff just really makes sure that your implementation is going to be as smooth as possible. So we typically budget 4 to 8 weeks for something that big. Then you've got and lastly here, we've got our decision framework. So for the decision framework, we want to figure out, we have some initial assessment questions that we want to ask that are really going to help us figure out what we need to automate and how we want those automations and those AI solutions to look like. So first question is going to be, what's your biggest time waster at the moment? What is eating at your time the most at the moment that if you could remove this task from your plate would free you up immensely? You just be like, it would feel like such a burden has been lifted from you. And the next question, which processes need automation first? So when you have that list of all of the things that you want to do, prioritizing them. What is going to be the most important? What are we going to have to do first before we do something else? So what things have to be in place? And then you're typically going to do that in like a timeline sort of fashion. Obviously, you want to automate your payments before you want to automate your offboarding, right? That's just, again, the natural sequence of things. And then what's your monthly budget, right? How much do you want to spend on a monthly basis? That's going to determine how much you can automate at a given time. You may want to go rather slowly with that to really get the benefits of an AI implementation and actually see those benefits before you start implementing and building out more solutions. And then we've got our solution matching. So solution matching is really about finding the best tools for your use case. What tools are going to work for you, your organization, your culture, and the future that you see for your organization and where you want to be. And then also about getting a price point comparison. So for dollar, is this product better in terms of what it's going to provide for our organization, or is this the extra features and the extra cost not worth it for what we're trying to do, or maybe just what we're trying to do right now? And then you've got your implementation timeline. So if you're on an implementation timeline of 2 to 4 weeks and you want to get this sort of really wrapped up and taken care of and squared away, you're going to need a solution that's easy for you to implement and integrate with. If you're going to have to do some custom endpoints for your API and get those things integrated and get that data flowing in a more non-traditional manner because the integrations don't exist, that's going to be a little problematic for the timeline that you have. So you have to match up the technical aspect of what it is that you're doing and the actual limitations of that platform. And then when it comes to getting started, there are free trials that you can consider that you can take advantage of. Most platforms do a 7-day free trial, or they give you a certain number of credits to kind of play around with and get a feel for what that product looks like and feels like and what it's capable of doing. And then you've got your proof of concept approach. So really getting into like we need to see this product actually work, and we need to see how this is going to provide value to our organization, and we need to see it in a specific setting. These are the types of situations we're going to be in. We want to be able to see if this is going to work, and I need proof of that. A lot of times when you approach a platform like that, they're going to be able to talk you through that and even show you a little bit more in detail on a more custom level, give you a custom demo of what that would look like and what the implementation across the board is going to entail when you have something that's, in a more abstract kind of way, right? And that's typically what you'll see in the more enterprise level space. Those platforms, that's all custom pricing just based on how many seats you have and how much data you want to use and all that fun stuff. So your chat GPTs of the world are not like that, as you probably already know. And then we want to talk about our implementation support. So all of these platforms are unique and different in the way that they operate. There are obviously technical standards across the board, but then you get into some more nuanced aspects of APIs and what the limits are and what kind of data you can pull in and out, and some stuff you can only pull, you can't push to. So it gets a little interesting at times. And that's when you need implementation support from that platform. So being able to figure out exactly what that looks like and how much they're able to help you is going to be super important for your success as well, and really help you get into the nitty gritty of, is this the platform for me, or am I going to really be struggling to get this to work for me? So if you have any questions on anything, feel free to drop the comment on the video below. You can also click the link as well, schedule a call with me, and ask any questions you might have about an AI implementation.